Hello everyone, I welcome you all in another discussion of Master Mains PYQs at NEXT IAS, and this is a unique initiative from NEXT IAS for all of you to write Mains PYQ every day, get your answers evaluated and watch this discussion for your doubt clearance. Okay, and today I bring you a question on society section. Okay, in the previous video we introduced this question just for the sake of change, and you must have written answer to this question, and let us jump into this question, the answer of this question. Okay, so the question reads, why is caste identity in India both fluid and static? Okay, it's a very interesting question because it's a question on caste identity. Okay, and caste is always in news. Okay, caste system is always on news, or let's say caste based news is always there. Okay, so because of various factors, because first of all caste is very ingrained in our society. Okay, in our psyche also. Okay, and apart from that, we have a large scale reservation and upliftment program going on based on caste. Okay, so it is always in news. Okay, whether it is factors for which we are providing reservation, and that is always in news. We have incorporated economic factors for reservation. Then there is this caste based census which is in news recently. Okay, and there are a lot of gamut of news which is based on caste based discrimination. Unfortunately it happens in our country. Okay, so the context for this question is multi-layered. Okay, there are many news which is based on caste system. Okay, and the caste identity, by the way, which is basically the identity assigned to you based on your caste, is nothing is always very important for the social upliftment program, or let's say interaction in Indian society. And one more thing is there, that to understand Indian society you must know the caste system. And to know caste system, it is very important that you understand both aspects of it. Okay, one aspect is static aspect and the other aspect is dynamic aspect. Okay, so early thinkers, if I can talk a bit about theoretical aspect of caste system, so early thinkers, they thought that okay, caste is, when they observed Indian society, they thought that caste system is very static. Okay, people are put in their category, in their specific caste group, and then they work around that group. Okay, but later on thinkers thought that okay, this is not a complete picture. Okay, we need to incorporate the dynamic part of caste system. So that's why UPSC is asking this question. Because it has theoretical importance, it has application in understanding Indian multicultural society. Also it is always in news. So this is the context of this question. Okay, from this question you can understand, I can tell you a bit about how to prepare these institutions in Indian society. So all these institutions have a traditional viewpoint. Okay, traditionally they have one structure. Then there are forces of change. Okay, globalization, modernization, industrialization, urbanization, you can call them anything. Okay, sanskritization for caste system. All these forces of change, they bring changes in these traditional aspects of these institutions. Okay, so these two things, one is the static aspect, or let's say traditional aspect of this institution. Second is the forces of change. These two mix and they present a complete picture, a fluid and static picture of an institution. Okay, so this is how you need to prepare these institutions in Indian society. Okay, so if I can talk about this question, so this question was a 15 marker. Okay, you have to use 250 words to answer this question, and this came from the GS1 paper, Indian society and the salient features of Indian society. Okay, in salient features they have not given caste system. Okay, this is the breakdown which you have to do. Okay, in salient features, caste system is obviously a salient feature of Indian society. Okay, that way you understand that okay, this question has come from this part of the syllabus. Accordingly you will answer. Okay, now let me talk a bit about the nature of question asked in Indian society, the part of your syllabus, and the let's say pattern of asking, or let's say the pattern of their repeating multiple topics in this part of the syllabus. Okay, so about the nature is such that the majority of the questions are very static. Okay, let's say caste system, so the topic is very static, caste system, it is always there. Okay, but there are many contemporary things going on which I have discussed already. Okay, so UPSC incorporate or mix these two things. Okay, and then there is analytical aspect to the questions. Okay, always the question will be analytical. So what we will understand when we will solve all the question of society, or let's say we will solve the previous questions of society, we will understand this, that the questions are from static topics, they have contemporary connotations, then we have analysis to do. Okay, how do we prepare these topics? One, I explained to you that you prepare the traditional aspect, the contemporary aspect, and bring out the true picture. Secondly, you prepare a lot of examples. Okay, if you prepare a lot of examples, you will be able to do the analysis. Okay, now when you are expressing your thoughts on the paper, you must have good vocabulary. Okay, the sociological, or let's say society wala vocabulary, you need to develop. Okay, it will have keywords, it will have many different keywords for different aspects. Okay, we will discuss some keywords in this answer. Okay, and as and when we discuss more questions, we will develop a good vocabulary. So you need to get into practice of answer writing to develop all these skills. Okay, it is very rewarding, it has high weightage, around 75 marks are allocated to this Indian society, so you should prepare a lot. Okay, let us discuss the first part of your answer. Okay, that is introduction. Okay, and you all must be knowing that usually the best or safest introduction for society is the definition. Okay, so what you can do in definition, you can basically pick characteristics of these institutions, enlist them, and make your definition, make your own definition, or you can prepare a definition. Okay, the first idea becomes very helpful. It is very functional, because it will help you in writing the further dimension of the answer, because you are enlisting certain features. So let me explain by example. So here we have caste identity. Okay, we have caste identity, the identity based on your caste. Okay, so you can basically write a definition of caste. Okay, or caste system. Basically these two things are same things. If caste system changes, the caste identity will change. Okay, so caste system definition will have certain, I would say, characteristics. So one characteristics of caste system is the segmental division of society. Okay, segmental division of society, meaning caste system divides the society into different segments. Okay, you can mention the varnas, four varnas, or avarnas. You can mention those as examples. Okay, about Indian society. Secondly, you can write there is a hierarchy established. Okay, this hierarchy is based on what? This hierarchy is based on the concept of purity and pollution. Okay, in this hierarchy, people are fixed, they cannot move up or down. Okay, so there is a hierarchy established. The keyword is ascribed nature of hierarchy. The keyword is ascribed. What is ascribed means? Ascribed means a status which is given to you at your birth. It cannot be acquired or gained. Okay, so this kind of keywords you need to use. Okay, third characteristics which we can think of in caste system is occupational division of labor. Okay, occupational division of labor. What happens in occupational division of labor? That you are working in a sector which is assigned to your caste. Okay, that way you can also write, but these are the keywords which you have to use. Okay, fourth characteristics you can write is endogamy. Okay, so what is endogamy? Marrying within the caste group. Okay, this all you all know. So what the idea is this, that there are many characteristics of caste system, many. Okay, what you need to do, you remember 3-4 main characteristics of caste system. There is this another restrictions on contact. Okay, this is also the feature of caste system. So you can mention many features. What you need to do in your answer, mention 3-4. Okay, and then move on. Okay, what you need to do, this will make the examiner understand that you have defined the caste system. Okay, what other ideas you can think of for introduction is, let me give it in brief. The other ideas are that you can quote some current news. Okay, and apart from that, you can also mention some thinkers. Okay, in your introduction. Okay, so one idea can be current. Okay, current affairs. The other idea can be thinker. Okay, or quote. What is the problem with these ideas? The problem with these ideas is that in this particular question is that there are many current news which are relating to this question. Okay, and there are many thinkers. So most of the people, you may not have sociology or anthropology as your option. Okay, you may remember one or two thinkers, but that may not be very accurate. You may not write the accurate definition. It may go against you also. So what I would suggest, I would recommend to you is that you stick to your basic definition. Okay, but you can have the other ideas too. Okay, fine. After writing in your definition idea, after writing these characteristics, what you can do is you can basically jump to a connecting paragraph or connecting line, I should say. It's not paragraph, it's the line. So what you can say after writing definition, that because of various factors of change such as industrialization, urbanization, or let's say modernization, caste has seen a lot of change, and caste identity has become fluid. Okay, then you will write about the fluidity of caste. Okay, and after writing fluidity of caste, you will go on to write the static nature of caste, and then you will conclude. So this will become our introduction, body, and conclusion. Okay, so structure you must have understood. Introduction, you define, then go for connecting line, then go for body two parts, fluidity, static nature, then conclude. Fine. Okay, so let us discuss the fluidity in caste system. Okay, so first dimension is fluidity, caste identity. Okay, so you can talk about why. So the question is asking why it is fluid or static. So you have to give reasons. So I have said there are forces of change, that's why it is fluid. So what are forces of change? It is very easy idea. Industrialization. Okay, so industrialization, say what is happening because of industrialization? Industrialization leads to opening up of the markets. Okay, there are new jobs first of all. Okay, and the entry into these jobs is basically based on skills. It is not based on your ascribed status in the society. Okay, for example, anybody can become a laborer in let's say iron steel industry. Okay, you do not need to belong to a particular caste. Okay, or you can use the example of, let's say, teacher or educator or priest, for that matter. Any caste, from any caste, now they can apply because government controls everything, and they can apply, and then they can become teacher or, let's say, priest. Okay, you do not have to belong to a particular caste. So that way industrialization basically creates caste free jobs. Okay, you can use these keywords, caste free jobs. Okay, secondly, because of industrialization, urbanization takes place. You all know that. Okay, what will happen because of urbanization? Urban settings are heterogeneous, meaning that all kinds of people live at a one place. What happens in a village? People live in segregated ghettos based on their caste. Okay, but in urban setups they live heterogeneously. Okay, anybody can live anywhere. Okay, ideally, but there are certain things which we will talk about in the static nature of the caste. Okay, so urbanization, first of all, heterogeneous living. Secondly, there will be anonymity, so nobody will ask your caste in urban setting. Okay, and in urban setting what happens, the restriction, the civil and religious restrictions, they basically diminishes. For example, you will not be deboarded from a train because you have certain caste, or you will not be allowed to enter a hotel because of caste. Okay, you can eat outside. So these are the examples: eating out, traveling in a common bus, or studying in a common school. Okay, so these are the benefits of urban setup. Okay, thirdly, you can talk about basically what are the result in the ideas. Okay, what are the impacts in the ideas because of these changes of force? So let's say modernization, you can call one factor as modernization. Okay, modernization. Okay, modernization brings thoughts. Okay, it changes people perspective and mindset. Okay, values, new values come up. For example, let's say fraternity. Okay, equality, justice, freedom, all these values come because of modernization, and they are actually practiced by people because they go to school, they learn it, they imbibe it. It's not just that they hear about these values, they imbibe it and they implement it also. Okay, so change takes place, and what happens is that the ritual status of caste, okay, that people are placed in different hierarchy based on purity and pollution, it diminishes. People are considered equal. Okay, they are given democratic rights, and all these things happen. So you can mention constitutional article, you can mention different acts which are enacted to remove these discrimination. Okay, so for example, article 17 you can mention, basically abolishing untouchability. Okay, what else we can discuss here is the very important aspect, that is secularization of caste. Okay, Secularization of caste. What is secularization of caste? Basically, we are politicizing caste and casteizing the politics. Okay, these two phenomena are working apart from de-ritualization of caste. Okay, so de-ritualization I have explained earlier that the caste based on purity and pollution has diminished. Okay, idea people do not discriminate people based on that. Okay, and what is happening because of, let's say, I should discuss this one more thing, that because of modernization, industrialization, urbanization, caste has been replaced by class. Okay, the hierarchy still persists, but it has changed into class hierarchy. Okay, based on money and status, you can gain higher ground. Okay, and when I was discussing secularization, I was talking about politicization of caste. In that, what is happening is that because of democracy, numbers have become very important. Okay, so different castes, they were actually not with each other at one point of time. Okay, they were against each other. Okay, they will not tolerate to compromise or collaborate with each other. Okay, now to gain basically enough votes to gain to power, the various caste alliances are being formed. Okay, you know, in, let's say, in Uttar Pradesh, there are many caste alliances based on availability of votes, winnability of candidate. Okay, apart from that, if in certain constituency one caste dominates, the fielding of candidate, the cabinet ministerialship, giving the portfolio, it all depends on caste equations. Okay, so we have politicized the caste and casteized the politics. Okay, so all these factors leads to secularization of caste. What is secularization of caste? Secularization of caste means this, that caste has left its religious importance. It has now gained secular importance. Okay, in different aspects. Okay, so this is secularization of caste. The fifth factor I would like to talk about is Sanskritization. Okay, this is also a cause for social mobility. Okay, a bigger cause for social mobility, and basically this was the idea of Srinivasan. But you do not need to mention the thinker's name. What you need to remember is the idea. The idea is this, that the lower caste emulate the features of or practices of characteristics of upper caste to gain certain social ground. Okay, for example, they will change their eating habits, or they'll change their uh, clothing patterns. Okay, and because of these changes, they uplift themselves in the society. Okay, so this process is called Sanskritization. Because of this, many castes have gained higher status. Okay, so this is another factors. What else you can talk about is government's efforts, or you can club them as the public initiatives to uplift people out of caste discrimination. Okay, so the caste hierarchy was the cause for large scale discrimination. After independence, we have started a big project that we want to bring in equality in our society. So we have invested a lot, we have worked a lot, and we have come very far. So this can be quoted as a cause for caste fluidity, caste identity fluidity. Okay, so government efforts, you can mention reservation in educational and jobs. Okay, these two things you can mention, and you can say that this has caused a fluidity in the caste identity. Okay, there are many 6 points. Okay, if you can mention all these 6 points, it will be more than enough for your explanation on fluidity of caste system. So the idea is this, you think on your own. Okay, the idea is this, there are various factors of forces of change. Okay, these forces of change basically bring in change in the caste identity. Okay, by bringing change in the caste system. Okay, so you map all the examples of change in the caste system, and then you think about arguments, keywords, and you write points. You can write more points. Okay, fine. Let us jump into the second part of your answer. The second part is basically nothing but the static nature of caste system. Why caste is still static? Okay, so you have to basically think about various things. Number one, you think about, so this is static nature. Number one, you should think about is that still there is a prevalence of relevance, or let's say relevance of, I should say relevance of Varna system, Varna based division. Okay, so the Varna based division, meaning the whole overall society is still divided into 4 parts, that is Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Okay, you can mention this. So this is still relevant in Indian society. May not be overall in overall country, but largely in Indian society, you can say this is still relevant. Okay, because of this, what happens is that the ascribed nature of caste is still accepted. Okay, or is still the only mode by which you can acquire a caste. Okay, by birth only you can born into a, or you are born into a caste. You are always born into a caste. You cannot change your caste. You cannot acquire a caste. Okay, it cannot happen. Okay, and because of all this, endogamy is practiced. Okay, to protect all this, endogamy is practiced. Okay, so marrying only, so let me give you a data. Only 12% marriages in India are intercaste. It is increasing. Okay, the data is that it is increasing day by day, but only 12% are intercaste marriages. Rest are still endogamous marriages. Okay, to protect this status of caste basically. Okay, now let me discuss about the impacts of urbanization. Okay, how far it has led, or whether we are still practicing untouchability or not. So you can say that implicit untouchability. Okay, implicit untouchability is still practiced. So there is a report. Okay, the report says that 20% urban households and 30% rural households still practice untouchability. Okay, meaning what? That the static, the rigid nature of the caste based discrimination or caste identity is still prevailing. Okay, people are being identified on their caste and being discriminated. Okay, apart from that, you can talk about basically the ghettoization. Okay, because of historical reasons, in villages, these villages are very old. Okay, because of historical natures, these ghettos still exist, although because of government efforts, roads have been built, the pipelines have been laid, and people are availing various services, but they live still in secluded areas. Some people live in certain areas, some people live in certain areas based on caste system. So ghettoization still persists. Okay, what else you can talk about? You can mention this. Apart from this 12%, you can mention honor killing also. Okay, in the endogamy point. Okay, that endogamy is still being practiced, and endogamy is also soul of caste system. Okay, you should remember that also. Fine. Now, apart from this, you can talk about the division of labor. Okay, labor still done on based on caste system. So Supreme Court in one of the important cases, that is the Safai Karmachari Andolan case, mentioned and asked why still the majority of, and also this data is also present in our house debates, in our parliament debates, that around 97, more than 97% of the manual scavengers are belonging to SC/ST community. Why? So the division of labor is not secular, it is still based in caste system. Okay, so these, all these points you can mention. Okay, apart from that, you can mention, which we discussed earlier, reassertion of caste identity. What is happening is that use of social media is very prevalent. Okay, you must be using it. Okay, everybody is using it, and people are making groups which are exclusive to castes. Okay, and these groups are basically becoming a platform to reassert your caste identity. Okay, so reassertion will take place and the static nature will come out. Okay, this is basically 7 points. Okay, you do not need to write all points. Okay, you can think of different points. All these things exist. So remember, in society chapter, everybody will write their own unique way. Okay, they will write unique points, they will write unique examples, they will have unique perspective. What you need to remember is that for this question, they have asked caste is the reasons for caste being static and fluid. That you need to address. The way you will write will be different, the way I will write will be different, the way other aspirant will write will be different. The key will be that you mention good examples, you use keywords, and you will get good marks. Okay, now let us discuss the conclusion. Okay, after writing all these two dimensions, you must write a good conclusion. Okay, so conclusion, the idea for conclusion can be: number one, you summarize the whole idea which you have explained so far. So you can write that caste identity is a phenomena which is a complex interplay between historical baggage, social mobility, and change in social values and norms. Okay, so this is the idea, that caste identity, we have established that it is a complex interplay. Okay, the static part comes from what? The historical baggage. Okay, and the dynamic part comes from various forces of change. Okay, that also you can mention. This way you can conclude. Okay, what else you can write? You can talk about social inequality. Okay, you can talk about removal of it basically. Okay, how it is key to understand the static and fluid nature of caste identity to effectively render the removal of social inequality, or all the efforts which we are doing to remove the social inequality. We need to understand this whole complex phenomena, that is caste identity based in fluid and static reality. Okay, that way you can conclude. Basically the idea is that you can go theoretical way or you can go the contemporary way. Okay, always be very futuristic, be positive in your conclusion. Okay, before conclusion you can write relevance. Okay, if you like these two ideas, make one your relevance. Okay, make the other your conclusion. Anyway, you can address this. So remember the structure, remember that you need to prepare a good vocabulary, remember that you need to prepare good examples, remember that you need to study contemporary, static, and paint a good picture. Okay, and the question are fairly repetitive. Please prepare society very well. Okay, we will meet again. Okay, good luck, write well.